Hello, people. Thanks for joining me for another edition of This Old Gibson. This guitar might look familiar because 3 years in a row now, it's broken. And there have been a couple viewers that have mentioned that just gluing it and putting strings on it or painting the back of it and all that and just sending it back out into the world to get abused at the honky tonks is just gonna break again. And they were right. It broke again. Of course, I'm not too worried about it because I've upgraded my equipment. Now I'm going to do something a little different this time, which almost guarantees that it's not going to break again. So first things first, we're going to glue it up. We're also going to use a different kind of glue. We're going to use hot hide glue this time because it gels quicker, and I think we'll see, but you can kind of just hold it in place and it gels real fast, and then you can put your clamps on there. You could put some anti-sliding stuff like a hockey puck that's been cut in half. Maybe put that on there to keep the stuff from sliding apart. You know, maybe I'll put it across this way. And then we'll spline it. Yep, we'll put some wooden splines, long ones that run through the middle of that crack. And this is a good scenario crack because it still has a lot of side grain to glue up. And each time it's broken in a slightly different spot. We're talking 0.5 millimeter, difference each time. It was probably a rather soft piece of wood to begin with. There is a little piece of the Les Paul that's missing down here in the corner too. Here I can show you that I've got a heat lamp on the two parts, warming it up and getting these a little bit warmer so it doesn't gel too quickly. And I'm talking about the hot hide glue. It's up to about 150 degrees. I keep it in a dropper bottle like this. It's pretty hot. I don't keep the actual dropper attached to the lid. I just dip a paintbrush in there, small paintbrush, and drop it onto the project. I usually keep a little more water in there. I think it's cooling off a little quickly, but we'll warm these up real fast and drop it in. So that's what it looks like. Hot hide glue up. We'll let that sit overnight, and because it's kind of a hot and humid day in Nashville, we'll take her down to the garage and fire up the new equipment. I've got the Bosch Colt router, which I did not have before. I had a bigger router that was just a little bit scary to run on a guitar, especially on a slim headstock like this. The Bosch Colt is much lighter and it runs at, I don't know, 1 horsepower. It's the morning after. I actually only left it clamped up for 8 hours. I unclamped it last night and dropped in some black epoxy into this big crack here. There. That's black epoxy. And it is really great stuff. I love this, man. I just got this stuff. It's slow setting, but it takes about 20 minutes to cure. And I almost feel like I could put strings on this guitar and give it back to him today because he's coming over to pick up his Jackson Randy Rhoads V guitar. But it's just going to break again, and I'll just end up seeing this guitar again next year. So the original plan continues. I'm going to set up the splining jig and route them splines into this guitar today. I'll check back soon. So here it is. We got the channels cut. They're elliptical. And George Lewis was just over picking up his 59 Gibson Les Paul Special, and he's an engineer, and he was talking about how the thinnest part of the neck has the deepest area and why this is such a great design. And I said, yeah, you know, you guys are engineers, you guys figure out how to do this stuff. I just like a monkey see, monkey do. But there's the router. There's the tech deck workstation there. And I was been working on this L5. That's coming out good. I just gave it its buff. In a previous video I was complaining about how I had mounted this on the tool chest and how the tool chest was getting in the way of the guitars. Well, I ended up moving it all the way back to the wall and anchoring it in with those two concrete anchors, and then moving this piece out so it's kind of suspended out here in the air now, where I can really get the guitar in and around the buffing wheels. This one, another Les Paul neck break. Yep, it just keeps on coming. This one's for Sam, and it's got a few coats of lacquer on it, but it's got a long ways to go. So we're going to keep working on that. But the next time I show you this one, it'll have some wooden splines inserted right there.
Now I start to whittle away at this wood.
It's about 1/8 of an inch proud on this side, but way over here it's like 3/16 of an inch proud.
So I got a lot of whittling to do. Get some tools.
Alright guys, all splined. I've got it sanded down pretty close over here. Next, I've got to continue sanding because we've got some old lacquer spots still, that dark brown. And there's that one little piece of filler that must have been from one of the other breaks. It was a little missing piece of wood, I guess, that was filled in with maybe some mahogany dust and super glue, but it's very dark, so I'll have to be mindful of that and touch that up or give it a scoop repair or something before I paint, because I'd like to keep this neck as the most natural finish as possible. The other thing I have to be mindful of is that the Made in USA 2017 model letters are starting to get, they're not as deep as they used to, and they're starting to get filled in with all these different layers of finish that I've done on it over the last couple of years. I'm going to be mindful of that and do something about it too. I'm going to take a little action now to prevent that from getting any more screwed up.
Next, I fill the grain.
Actually, the next thing I need to do is scoop out this area and patch in a new piece. Then I'll fill the grain, and then I'll reestablish the depth on this 2017 and maybe some of these serial numbers here. Like I said before, it's starting to get a little bit buried. There's the scoop. I did it with this little gouge. And here's the new piece, and that's the donor gouge. Genuine mahogany. Handle with care. It's in there now. What do you think? Took like 10 seconds. Now I can sand it. Grain fill it. Start spraying some lacquer. Alright, I got the grain filler in there. I'm starting to really not even notice the crack as much as I was noticing it before. And I had a little spot over here that was missing. The L was, a little part of that L was missing. So I got some gold paint pen out and just dropped it onto the back of some sandpaper, and then took a little brush and recreated that little L there. And tomorrow I'm gonna put it in the lineup to get some clear lacquer. And I think because I put some of the red mix-all into my grain filler, this is the red mix-all, and I reddened it, that I'm only going to put some vintage amber and Kalamazoo mahogany into my first couple coats of clear lacquer to just kind of bring it up to the darkness of the body, you know, just kind of fade it in. And I think that'll make the rest of that crack kind of fade, blend in a little bit. Take a good look now. I'll take a good look later, and hopefully we have some guitar progress. We're not looking for guitar perfection, just progress. But man, I'm liking these old Spliny Splines. This is the Mike McConville method, by the way, if I haven't mentioned Mike McConville yet. That's his design, the elliptical splines, and that's his jig and his workstation that I ran the router on.
Next, I wet sand the guitar.
So one or two things can happen after I wet sand the guitar. It has orange peel on it because when you spray, that just happens. It's just a phenomenon of what happens when you spray a guitar. So I can go in here and I can wet sand it and get it all smooth where all the orange peel is gone. And then I can spray, if I'm going for a gloss finish, I can spray another flash coat, which is a thin coat of lacquer. It's not a build coat. It's more like 10% lacquer, 90% thinner retarder. And wait another week and put it on the buffer and get a nice gloss. In this case, I'm going for a satin finish. So I'm going to wet sand off the orange peel, and I'm going to go down into the spray window and spray what they call a flat lacquer. And then within a week, I'll be able to put it back together. It'll be done. No polishing, no buffing. Let's see what it looks like after I wet sand it. And this is about the extent that I want to continue to wet sand this guitar. You can still see some low spots, some of the orange peel. No big deal on this one because it's not getting a gloss finish. The other two that I'm going to wet sand right behind this are getting a gloss finish, and those are I'm going to be more meticulous. This one you can see a dent right there and some orange peel here, but the truss rod cover comes up to here. Alright, we're heading down into the garage. Hear that noise already? You can hear the dehumidifier. Okay, so the first thing I always do when I come out here to the garage is I look at the relative humidity. Earlier at 5 a.m. when I first came out here, the relative humidity was at 69. It's down to 54 now. Conditions are good right now. See that window? That's my intake air window. I crack it just about 2 inches. And then the window over here is my spray window. Let's take a look at the dehumidifier and then we'll look at the window setup. Okay, this is the dehumidifier. It has the water dripping out through the concrete or masonry, the cinder block wall. And on the other side of that wall is a row of a nice little row of bushes that get watered when that drips the water. So yeah, a nice dehumidifier if you live in a humid place. If you live in a dry place, you might actually need to humidify. Sometimes I need to run air conditioning in here, so this is the type of air conditioner that runs out through the other window there. And you don't want that to run while you're actually running the exhaust fan in the window. So by putting a fan in this window, I created negative airspace in the garage. And when I spray, it gets sucked out of that window really nice. I keep the garage door shut. Always keep it shut because I don't want pollen and insects landing on my finish. So next I'll show you, I'll actually spray some guitars. I'm gonna pull the car out of the garage and we'll show you. We'll pull the car out. See what a beautiful day it is here. June in Nashville, Tennessee. All right, back to the window. Now, when I'm actually spraying, I'm gonna turn the dehumidifier off. That thing sucks air in a way that even the little gaps around that cardboard and duct tape will get sucked in instead of allowing the fan to suck out. So we need to turn the dehumidifier off when it's time to spray. Yeah, that's just cardboard and duct tape on either side. And I figured if the Apollo astronauts used it to fix their spacecraft, then it's just fine for me to use here on Earth for this purpose. And it does work good. So let's grab the guitars and the lacquer and we'll just do that light last coat of lacquer and we'll see how it turns out. Three guitars sprayed in a matter of just a few minutes. These ones had flash coats put on the necks. We had 3 broken necks. This is the cool part. After a few minutes, open up the door and let all those toxic fumes evacuate. Look at them rise up. Look at all that shit. That is a lot of stuff. And people spray this in their basements and stuff. That's insane. That is what they call volatile organic compounds. Just want to show you these ones too. These also had neck breaks, but these are gloss finish guitars. So these ones I sprayed the flash coat, and in a few days, maybe a week, I'll just put it straight onto the buffer. There's no need to wet sand this anymore. I did the wet sanding, I sprayed the flash coat. The next thing is it goes to the buffer. And these had the carbon fiber wrap, the exoskeleton done to them. This one's a Heritage made in Kalamazoo, Michigan. See, that's ready to go to the buffer in a few days as soon as it gets done gassing off. This one has a stinger, which is the black on the back, and then the green translucent around the edges. And this has a carbon fiber wrap from about in between the 1st and 2nd fret up to just about the 2nd tuning key. That's wrapped in carbon fiber, and then I painted it to make it look like natural wood again. Yep, this one, the headstock was snapped clean off of it. So the other thing I wanted to say is these guitars aren't coming back into the house for at least 24 hours because they will gas off, and they gas off a toxic fume for actually several days. But this is just one light flash coat, so it's really only 24 hours that it's toxic, that I notice the smell. Here we are next day. I don't know why I should wait any longer. It doesn't even smell. It's, as far as I am concerned, it's ready to put back together. This method of spraying really doesn't take as long as they say. It's totally cured. I don't know why. Maybe because of the hot weather. Let's put it together. Sure, I could have done more to make that black look perfect, but have you seen the body on this guitar? Sometimes you just want to leave imperfections just because of the cool factor, you know? This guitar is not perfect by any means. It is beat up from the feet up. So let's leave it beat up. Let's play it.